Hey guys, welcome back to a new series called Grandbelle's Fanfiction. You're about to see some crazy shit.
Alright. Midway through the game, Brian gets up to go get a drink at the bar. He says,
"Hey, whose leg do I gotta hump to get some service around here?"
and this one model is like, "Hey Brian, you can hump my leg." And he's like,
"Whoa, mama, let's make it quick, because I got a game to get back to with the dogs."
but then 12 huge Italian mobsters with Tommy guns come into the place, and the biggest one goes at the Brian. He says, "You fuck my wife?" And Brian is like,
No, I swear I didn't, big guy."
and then the big Italian gets mad, and he picks him up by his collar, and he brings him over to the poker table. He slams Brian down onto the table, and all the cards go flying. Now Courage the Cowardly Dog starts freaking out, and he goes all and shit. And then Jake the dog gets annoyed, and he's like, "Hey, come on, I had the perfect hand. No one was beating me." But then Scooby-Doo sneakily lifts up Jake's cards and reveals them to be like a 1 and a 2. So Mobster gets real busy. He's like, Is this your guy's dog?" And then Courage, Santa's little helper, and Snoopy all shake their heads no in confusion, like they never met. But Pluto, he's all happy. He don't know what's going on, so he starts nodding because they do in fact know him. So that only makes the mobster more angry. He pushes Brian further into the table before letting go and grabbing Courage's collar. "You try to fucking lie to me, you purple fuck?" and Courage the Cowardly Dog is pissing his fucking pants right now. So Jake the dog stands up and he's like,
"All right, buddy, I think you've done enough damage here.
"It's time to leave." And he stretches his hand up and he grabs the mobster's shoulder. The mobster immediately drops Courage, and Santa's little helper and Pluto rush over to make sure he's okay, while Snoopy tends to Brian. But now it's Big Mobster versus Jake the dog, and the big guy's like, "Do you really want to tussle with this?" And he flexes so one of his shirt buttons pop off. And then Jake the dog is like, "Ah, that's nothing, buddy. Check this out." And he stretches really big to be exactly as buff as him, but then even bigger. So Scooby-Doo gets all chuffed having the big guy on his side. So he rushes over to Jake and he's like, "Whoa, you're fucked now, you Italian." So all the other mobsters who've been staying out of it come to the table and they go behind the boss and they pull up their big old Tommy guns. And Brian looks over and he goes,
Hey, Jake, buddy, those powers don't make you bulletproof, do they?"
and Jake gulps and it slowly starts shrinking.
No.
So all of them get up and start scrambling, and bullets start flying. Now all the dogs are running around. Snoopy sneaks out the back undetected, while Santa's little helper and Pluto get down on all fours and start scrambling on the wood floors. They're slipping and falling, so it's making it so all the bullets are whizzing by them perfectly, and they start to head straight for the bar. The next group is Scooby and Courage, and both of these cartoon fucks start screaming. I'm talking about real horrifying yells of fear as their legs go windmill mode and try to dodge all the bullets. Scooby runs over to a suit of armor decorating the bar and climbs inside of it to try and be protected, but he falls out of the stand that it's in, and now he's dressed up in all the knight's armor and he's holding the sword. So he starts freaking out and swinging it, and he's deflecting all the bullets and shit, and they're flying back at people, and it's like killing some monsters and stuff out of sheer cartoon panic. And then one of the bullets flies right over and it goes straight through Courage the Cowardly Dog's tooth. You know, the little hole that he has in his tooth. So then he starts fucking screaming. Now back to Jake and Brian. Jake is going stretch crazy trying to avoid all these bullets. He's holding Brian in his arms and he's like stretching around all the bullets and shit. I lost my place. So, then they get really close to the bathroom, and a feminine hand reaches out and grabs Brian and Jake. He tugs them into the lady room, and suddenly they're all cramped in the stall together. It's Jake, Brian, and the mobster's wife. The lady says, "I'm so sorry I got you into this mess, my sweet Brian." And she grabs both of his paws in hers, looking deep into her eyes. "My husband is a very bad man, but I'm sure I can make him see reason. I will go out there and try and talk with him while you escape through the back quietly. I will never forget Honolulu, my beautiful burrito." And Brian goes,
"What, Carmela?
gripping her hands tighter,
Why would you do all this for me?"
"Because, my beautiful dog, and then she gets cut off by Jake.
"Hey, I think the handicap stall is open. Am I an asshole if I go pop in there for the time being? I don't want to like interrupt things here, but like, what if a handicapped person does walk in and they need to use a bathroom and I'm in there?
Talk about awkward. Switching perspectives. It's now Santa's little helper and Pluto. They jump over the bar, only to find the one and only Mo Sizlak behind the bar from The Simpsons. So Santa's little helper runs up to him. He barks. He goes, "What's that, Santa's little helper?" Mo says. Santa's little helper barks one more. "Jake and Brian are trapped in a bathroom. Scooby-Doo is trapped in a suit of armor. Courage the dog is dead." Cut to Courage the dog, riddled with bullets and bleeding out on the floor. Well, there's only one thing to do, it seems. Mo grabs his classic double-barrel shotgun from underneath the bar and reveals two classic double-barrel shotguns next to it that are slightly smaller and dog-friendly. Mo looks at the two cartoon dogs in front of him. "Didn't think I'd go out fighting side by side with two dogs." Pluto looks serious. "How about with two friends?" he says, extending his hand out like he has his paw. I could do that," says Mo, before the three rise up from underneath the bar. At the same time, the mobster's wife is leaving the bathroom to communicate with her husband. She leaves with her hands in the air and begins to weep. "There is no reason for you have to do this, my beloved. All this violence for what?" She gets cut short. 12 shots of lead pumped into her by Santa's little helper, who has just now risen out from underneath the bar with Mo and Pluto. They begin blasting all the mobsters down while the main guy rushes to his wife on the floor. Jake and Brian then both emerge from the bathroom, and Jake starts fighting some of the mobsters to help his buddy. Scooby is still over in the corner taking on the mobsters with his sword and armor, when suddenly the whole crowd feels a large rumble. The rumble gets louder and louder, turning to a whirring and a crash, as who else but Snoopy crashes into the whole bar with his World War II fighter jet. He motions for all the dogs to jump in the plane with him, and they all do. Mo gets turned away. "It's okay, I guess. No problem. I'll just go back to sitting behind the bar." And he walks away slowly. And it's Jake, Brian, Scooby, Santa's little helper, and Pluto. They all squish into the cockpit of the plane and begin reversing out of the bar. They make it out and begin their ascent into the air. All of them take a deep breath until Scooby screams, pointing into the wing of the plane. It's the main monster, covered in blood. His shirt is all tattered and he's holding on to the wing of the plane. Snoopy looks determined. He opens the cockpit, motioning for Brian to grab the controls. He reaches for two pistols underneath the seat and heads out to the other wing of the plane. Snoopy slides one of the guns down the wing towards the end of the mobster. The two of them stand up sturdily on each wing and get into a Mexican standoff position. "One," says the mobster. "Two," everyone imagines Snoopy saying, before 3 is said in unison, interrupted with a bang. Snoopy and the mobster are both still standing there, no wounds. The mobster begins to laugh. Snoopy begins to laugh. They both start laughing and laughing before the mobster falls to his knees. A growing blood spot finally becomes noticeable on his shirt. "Didn't think I'd be outshot by some damn dog. But then again, I never really knew much about life." A tear wells up in his eye. "Farewell, Mutz." He then points the gun beneath his chin and pulls the trigger. His head explodes and chunks of brain splatter onto the cockpit windshield. Everyone is disgusted. Brian starts crying and then Jake. Snoopy crawls back into the cockpit and the rest of the ride home is silent.
Thank you.
What a genius.
That was beautiful.
Love it.
Peace and love. Bye, everybody. Peace and love.
Peace and love from me to you forever. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Hopefully we'll see a few more Grand Bell fan fictions in the near future. I think this might be a good segment.
I really like that one. Yeah.
I don't know why I made Courage die immediately. I just thought it was